Hello, everybody. Once again, welcome to Thursday Talks. Thank you for joining us. We're having a conversation today, and I want to welcome to the table today. We've got some members from our team. We've got Eric, Emily, and Milan. Welcome, you guys. Thanks for taking some of your time here today as we cover some issues and some topics. Let us know where you're watching from today. Would you put it in the chat? Just let us know where you're watching from. Maybe just throw up an emoji sign. Let us know how you're feeling today as we jump into this table talk on Thursday. So today, guys, we're talking about the topic of leadership. Leadership sometimes in the church world can get a bad rap. You know, there's almost a little bit of a, is it spiritual? Or we talk too corporate and it's worldly. And sometimes, you know, we may forget that leadership is actually biblical. That's good. That leadership and discipleship, which is what we focus on at Turning Point, leadership and discipleship. Sometimes they intertwine, but leadership, let's talk about it. What does it take to become a great leader? Wow. And can I become a great leader? And am I a leader? Because sometimes people think leaders are born. Have you ever heard that? Leaders are born, but I think it's true. I think leaders are developed. Leaders are made. And so leadership, John Maxwell said, leadership is influence. So let's talk about, maybe I'm not running an organization. Maybe I'm not a CEO. Maybe I'm a stay-at-home mom. Maybe I'm a young adult in college. Maybe I'm a single parent. Maybe I'm married, maybe I'm not. Maybe I am a small business owner. How can we talk about this idea of leadership so that people can get their arms around it or get handles and even apply it to their life? How can I, first of all, realize that I am a leader, right? Because leadership's influence, whether you're leading your home, you're leading a marriage, whether you're leading your family, your kids. So we're all leading. We've got to lead people to Jesus, right? So we've got to understand leadership is influence. But that's right. How can we grow in that? What are some practical ways, perhaps, that our viewers today who are watching, how can we help them? And how do you embrace leadership in your own life, personally, professionally? Let's talk about it. How do you become a great leader? What are some attributes, would you say, of leadership? Let's start there.
I guess I'll start. I think a huge part of leadership is humility, being humble. And the thing about humility, it kind of takes relationships to help you grow in that. I know as a teenager, you pastored me, mentored me, discipled me. And you kind of taught me that, I'm leading no matter where I'm at. That's right. Of course, I'm a part of the worship team here, and, people see me on the stage or on an instrument, and, but you really helped me to see that people watch how I am on the platform and off the platform. And so what that really taught me as a young guy is I have to be the same up there as I am down on the floor.
Yeah, that's good.
And I took it even a step further, looking at the life of Jesus, and this is something that I share with a lot of people. We have to live our lives as if we are on a platform. See, a lot of people want to pursue the platform or the spotlight, or they want to be in that place of honor. But the reality is our life should be the platform for us. When we look at the life of Jesus, everywhere he went, it was a ministry moment. It wasn't that he was getting prepared for a service or this, but literally he was leading everywhere. And what we have to understand is that leadership is responsibility. And because I know I have influence and because I know people are watching me, that's how I lead my life. But I wouldn't have been able to get to that place without being in a place of humility. The Bible tells us that pride comes before the fall, and that God exalts the humble. And so humility was one of those first steps, a lesson that I had to learn on my way to understanding the influence that God had given me.
That's good. Very good.
And you have to hold on to that humility, because it is a responsibility. And so really, I think what you're saying, in addition to that, is our life is our platform. Sometimes we see people on a platform and we see their platform personality, but it's really leadership off the platform as well. You've heard this before, that your gift can get you to a platform, but it's your character that keeps you there. And so it's having that responsibility and humility on and off the platform, because wherever we go, we're influencing people for Jesus. That's right. So we don't want to bear the name of Jesus in a negative way. We were shopping this past week. Well, Madeline was shopping. I was watching and paying. And she was at her favorite place, Urban Outfitters. And this lady came in and they wanted her to put on a mask. And she didn't like it. And so she went off. She was on the phone. She starts, I'm not wearing a mask. And she was saying, you know, God's got me covered. And she was dropping the F-bomb.
Wow.
She was like, look at this. This guy was, you know, had tats, and she was showing it, and she was making a big, and she says, I've got Jesus. And I'm like, please. Madeline was like, please don't say, like, you don't realize you're making this big scene,
Right.
Yeah.
using profanity, you're dishonoring, like, and then you want to say that I've got Jesus. Like, that is not good leadership, you know? So I said that to say that you are a leader, right? Because leadership is influence. And so if you're a follower of Jesus, I think we're called to be leaders, and we're called to grow in that leadership. What are some other characteristics do you think make up a great leader?
A huge one is discipline. Like the writer of Hebrews says that no discipline seems pleasant at the time, and
Right.
it produces a harvest of righteousness for those who have been trained by it. And leadership is training. We're always in training to become a better leader because we all have influence. Like you said, whether you're a receptionist, whether you're a pastor, whether you're a teacher or stay-at-home mom, we all have influence, and we lead people in our influence. Like, we want to lead well, and in order to lead well, we have to be disciplined behind closed doors and in front of closed doors and outside of the doors, you know. But I think a lot of people think discipline and leadership, okay, I need to be disciplined in reading leadership books. I need to be disciplined in reading the word. I need to be disciplined in prayer. Yes, you absolutely 110% need to do these things, but you need to be disciplined in all areas of life, body, soul, and spirit. So exercising, eating well, financially, we've talked about that. It's so important to be disciplined with your mouth because we have influence where we're at, and people are listening to us and watching us. And so I think as we operate our lives and as we live disciplined lives, we're going to naturally grow in our leadership because leadership is influence. Influence is earned by trust, and trust is built through relationships. And so as you're becoming more and more disciplined, people are learning from you, and you're able to also share how you're disciplined and help others along their journey. And so you're becoming a better leader, and you're producing other leaders too, you know.
And I think discipline, when you think about discipline, the root word there is disciple. Like, you know, so discipline, disciple, leadership, you can kind of see how it all blends together. But what I hear you saying is it's really about self-leadership.
That's right.
Let's talk about that for a minute. I remember Dave Ramsey saying this one time, and it made me laugh because this is how I think. If I could just get that guy in the mirror to do what he's supposed to, I'd weigh less and I'd have less debt.
Very good.
So it's this self-leadership, right? Like if there's going to be change in my life, it starts with me. So I have to lead myself. Have you found that to be true? The hardest person to lead is yourself to the discipline, to the humility. Let's talk about it. What does self-leadership mean to you, and how are some ways that you've battled through that, maybe failed? Let's just talk maybe not where we've kind of won, you know, and be the hero of our story. Where are some struggles, maybe people that are watching, you know, what are some with self-leadership?
I know one struggle that I've had over the years that I've had to learn how to really work through as a leader is just having patience. Sometimes this idea of being a leader means you always have to be the smartest person in the room, the first person in the room, and sometimes the last to leave. But I've kind of learned now that one of the biggest opportunities we have as a leader is to know how to park at a yellow light from time to time. Meaning sometimes as a leader, we think everyone's in our car. Everyone has our talent, our skills. We don't even have to communicate anymore. They just know what they need to know. And when you're ever driving by yourself, that works. Every light is for you. Every red light is for you, every green light. But when you're leading people, that means they may not be in your car. They may be cars behind you. And so what looks green to you is going to be red to them by the time they get to that place of leadership. So how do you exercise patience as leader? If they don't get it that time, how are you able to ensure that you're meeting them? Discipleship, like you said, meeting them, doing things with them, and not necessarily always for them. You know, I think that's the biggest struggle right now in my leadership is knowing how to do things with people, not necessarily just for them, but doing it with them, knowing that I may think I know the best way, but how am I leading them to become a better leader themselves?
To let them fall. And I think just when you say that, I think about parenting. I think it's interesting how, as a parent, you parents out there would know, you guys have children. To me, I think parenting and discipleship are a lot alike, you know, because as your child's younger, you do everything for them. And then there comes a time where you don't need to do that anymore, right? And so you got to let them fail. You've got to let them feel the pain of consequence. And so many times in ministry, especially, we can also do that as well. But I think what we've learned is that when I do that, I'm limiting their growth and their process to grow and experience, to grow as Jesus did in stature and wisdom and in favor with God and man. So, so that's so good. Patience, and I really need to learn that too, because sometimes I can do it quicker, I can do it faster, right? Like the garbage needs to go out, it's overflowing. Certainly, there's other young adults in this house that see the garbage overflowing. Certainly, they're going to take ownership and lead themselves to take that garbage bag out and replace the bag. Or do I go and just go over there and jerk it up, take care of business? And so I agree. I think that's really good. I've got to become more patient because it is frustrating. It is. You know, it's frustrating to let somebody not see it or miss it or be in my car. Like, don't you see it? You know. And so would you say leadership also? Let's go here. And I want to hear back from you guys on self-leadership. Is leaders see things first. Leaders not only see things, they also they see a gap and they fill it. You know, that's what we try to encourage people. Like sometimes, well, don't you see that? Well, no, I don't see. Didn't you see this in the room, or did you see that need? So, you know, whether it's an area of ministry, maybe it's divorce care, or maybe it's grief share, or maybe it's homeless outreach, or maybe, you know, why aren't we doing these things? This needs to be done. And I think in leadership, what I've realized is that if God is showing you something, an area of need, it could be He's inviting you to take the lead in that. So if you see a gap, don't just complain about it or point it out, right? Like fill the gap. Because I think that's what leadership is seeing a need, meeting it, find a hurt and healing it. So leaders see it, and then they want to fix it, and they want to make it better.
That's good.
And so in self-leadership, how have you seen that in your own life? What are some struggles? Let's get real. What's maybe one area of your life? I'll go first. Like my thing is going to bed early consistently. It's just a battle that I've had for 24 years. Like I know I need to get up at 5. I know that's what I need to do. But if I go to bed at 5, it means I need to go to bed at 9, or I will have a sleep deficit. And if I have a sleep deficit, I'm up at 5, but nobody likes me because I'm grouchy. I'm tired. I'm young. Right. And so for me, that's where I'm growing in is learning to pay that price and winning the night so that I can do all the things I want to do and feel good about it and not be snappy. So self-leadership, what are some things maybe you guys have battled or struggling with your own?
I think, you know, as you kind of referenced that thought of, you know, preparing the night before for the next day, it comes from the book we've read, Win the Day. And a thought came to mind for me. It's the thought that he exclaimed in that book, which was the way that you do anything is the way that you do everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's really easy to fall into routine, or it's easy, you know, to go on autopilot. But really, you know, for me, I've had to make sure that when everything that I do, whether how small it seems or how large it seems, that I give it my all, and then I make sure that I'm consistent across the board. And so that's something that I really have been applying to my life, and I believe it's a great principle for all leaders to have. You know, the way that I do anything is going to be the way that I do everything. If it's the way that I practiced it here, that's going to be the way I perform it out in public. So understanding that there's a connection between that private and that public life. So as a leader, you know, as we're leading the way, we have to make sure that we've gone to a place that we're leading others. You know, the idea of a shepherd in Psalms 23 comes to mind, you know, and the reality is, you know, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leads me to lie down. You know, that whole idea, you know, for a shepherd, they would go a day's journey ahead of the sheep to prepare the way before they came back to lead the sheep. You know, so for us as leaders, you know, to be able to see things first is because we've been there before. It's because we have a different perspective. Even as Milan said, you know, they might not be in my car. They might be cars behind. But as a leader, because I'm getting there first, I have the perspective and the foresight to see things that are to come. And it makes it easier for me, you know, to lead others. So at the same time, I have to continually remind myself that how I do anything is how I do everything.
Good.
That's very good.
I think for me, Dr. Sam Chan said it best when he said leadership is responsibility. It's not authority. It's not power. It's not a title. It's responsibility. And so as leaders, yes, we're responsible for other people. But like we've talked about today, we're responsible for ourselves first and foremost. And so for us, in this season that we're in right now as brand new parents, we're working on consistency. We had a routine before baby, but when you have a newborn baby, it throws everything off.
Yeah.
So what we're really
That's
learning
the
right
facts.
now is we, one, have to prepare the night before, have to prepare not only what we're going to eat for the next day, but what we're going to wear for the next day, but also prepare mentally, like, okay, what is our schedule going to look like? And you were talking about that with us, like, we need to sit down together and say, okay, this is what our week looks like. Let's plan out our week, because I can say I want to have a quiet time. I can say I want to work out. I can say I want to cook dinner. I can say I want to have a date night. But if it's not scheduled out, and I think a lot of people sometimes say, well, you need to plan out when you're going to do quiet time. Absolutely. You need to say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 6. I'm going to have coffee. I'm going to do my morning routine from 6 to 6:30. But at 6:30, I'm going to sit down and have quiet time. Quality first and foremost over the quantity. So if you can get in 10 minutes of good quality time with the Lord because you have a really busy day, make sure you do that. But make sure that you're getting it in. And if you have to schedule it, you have to schedule it. You know, so I think for us, consistency, with consistency comes accountability. All leaders need accountability. And so having somebody to check in, hey, how's your time with the Lord going? Hey, how many times have you exercised this week? Hey, did you do a Walmart pickup order? Are you cooking fresh, hot, healthy meals this week for your family? You know, so to have people to check in on you, I think is huge as well.
Very good.
Yeah.
So the leadership is also having a plan.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to know what you want. You've got to define what you want. A lot of times, a mentor of mine taught me that most people never experience success is because they've never taken the time to define what success looks like to them. And so with your let's talk about family. You know, am I having a family meeting weekly? Am I calendaring our dinners? Like, I know right now it's a fight to get my children, my young adults to a table at the same time, but you got to fight that fight. But they've got to know there's a plan. Like, I can't just walk up into their room and go, we're going to have dinner tonight. I could, but it doesn't go so well. But if I have a plan, right, and we meet and we say, hey, we're having dinner here, and here, and we're going to be at this table, and here's why. So I think in leadership, just bringing it down to the family level and to the marriage level, I think you need to have that weekly time, you know, to meet with your spouse and say, here's what the calendar. Like Charlotte and I, we literally we can go days without talking to each other about what's coming, and then we can get frustrated. What are you doing? Well, I'm doing this. You got your own plan. You got your own plan. And so what we have to do on Thursdays is we literally have to walk through every meal Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's good.
You know, because what I'm learning is if you can make pre-decisions, it can alleviate unnecessary strife and tension. So we already know, like, don't walk. Like, one of my things right now is, like, after I preach on Sunday and I've poured it all out, the last thing I want to decide is where we're eating. Like, I don't even care. Just give me something hot and tasty. I don't care. And so going back to your point, it's that preparation. It's the discipline. It's leadership is leading yourself. And when we do, I think it alleviates unnecessary arguments,
Yes, it does.
tension, conflict. And so, any other final thoughts on leadership?
I think one other thing that we as leaders definitely need to start prioritizing is having leaders in our own lives. I think we are always pouring it out. Again, whether it's in the home or wherever you're working, but I do think we are normally always in our heads. We're always talking, planning our schedules out, but who are we talking to that's sharpening us? You know, I really do believe I'm a better leader because I'm putting myself in a position to be around better leaders. And so, you know, I think our self-awareness is only as good as the leaders around us. There's a Instagram picture or meme going around where there's this cat looking at a mirror, but he sees a picture of a lion. And I think everybody on Instagram is like, yeah, I'm a lion. No, you're actually a cat because you don't have the self-awareness to really know what you look like. You know, where are our mirrors as leaders? You know, who are we talking to? Who can tell us, you know what? You've got to take a break here. You've got to vacation more. What are you doing to position yourself to be at other leaders' tables so that you do get better? Because, again, I think sometimes when we're leading, again, we have the tendency to believe we're the smartest people in the room. We're the parents. The kids need to know better. But what parents are we listening to make sure that we're always giving out something that we actually received? And so,
and mirrors don't lie.
No, they don't.
Right? You are not going to look in the mirror and see something you're not.
Nope. They're going to tell you.
And so I think that's why you got to have real leaders who'll tell you what they really think. So in other words, they can't be people that are necessarily impressed by you, you know. And so, but you do have to have those leaders in your life where you can say, hey, give me some feedback, which is another whole area of humility, responsibility. I mean, we could all talk about how are we doing? Have those conversations like husbands, ask your wife, you know, how am I doing as a husband?
Right.
If there's one thing I could do better, just one, not five. What's one thing?
Just one.
And it's a very vulnerable question.
Yes, it
because
is.
what you want to hear is, honey, you are amazing. There is no one like you. But we need to be open to that feedback,
That's good.
the mirror, or we can't get better. Because if it can't be, if we can't touch it, it can never improve. Yeah. And so, do you have those leaders in your life? That's something I would put in the chat. Do you have those leaders in your life? Get into a small group. Get on a team. Get around some people who are going to be honest with you. They're going to believe in you, but they're also going to tell you the truth and welcome it. Hey, give me honest feedback, right? So we try to create a feedback culture here at Turning Point. And even though we like it, it doesn't feel good, right? Because we want to hear, man, you knocked it out of the park. But, you know, and so, but it's the buts that cause us to see how we can get better. So, yeah. What are you going to do to become a better leader? What can you do? What have you learned from today maybe that got some thought processes going in your life? Maybe have some conversations with your family. Maybe have a conversation with your spouse. If you're a single adult, get with your friends. Make sure that you're getting around people who sharpen you. That challenge you, that cause you to want to be better. That's so important to your personal growth and development. And so we're believing for you. We're praying for you. We're hopefully inspiring you. If you like these Thursday talks, why don't you like it, share it, just like all the platforms, YouTube, every area that we're on. Tell somebody about it, and then meet us here. At least tune in every week and comment. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you'd like to hear about. And then we'll continue to do our best to work hard to bring you content that helps you in your everyday life as you desire to lead the God-first life. Hey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our team. God bless you. We'll see you next Thursday.